A bunch of seemingly unrelated things happened to me this week, and they all concerned the net and radio. And it brought me back to a question that I used to grapple with 20 years ago when I was doing radio full time. And that question is a pretty simple one. And basically it is, should radio shows that are live on the air right this minute, should they be interactive or not? Hey everybody, welcome back, Music Com Academy. So here's what happened to me this week. I had to drive pretty much halfway across America. And therefore you're in a car, you're driving along, you're a radio guy, you're in and out of radio stations all along the way. And you'd get the big city ones, and then you get small ones, maybe a medium, maybe another big city, small ones. And I kept hearing really similar things in all of those radio stations, and that was how they were doing the radio shows and using the net. And one of the things I'll throw in here, which kind of really gets into this, is that a ton of the shows were voice tracked, and you could tell it so obviously. But that has nothing to do with this, whether the voice tracking was good or bad. It only has to do with it's not live. It's making believe it's live, but it's not live, okay? So I'm listening to all these radio stations, but of course you're driving and you need gas. And another unrelated thing was you'd pull over, you'd go into like a Chili's, and they got a game on. It's the playoffs for the NFL. And, and you're looking at the football game going on, and it's like, okay. And then there's other sports going, and that was pretty much every restaurant along the way. Sports is on live. We get to where we're going, which is here now. And after a couple of days, like, okay, let's go do something. Why don't we go across the street to Disney Springs and we'll go watch a movie at the AMC. So we go in and we watch the movie, and something happens in the movie theater which triggers this entire lesson, or at least it's not even a lesson. It's more like a talk to you about, if somebody doesn't mention this out loud, I don't know if anybody will actually think about it, really think about it. And what are you doing? Let's go back to the beginning now, where the radio stations are doing those shows. And you're hearing the typical stuff as you're listening. Hey, like us on Facebook. Here's my Twitter thing. Send me a tweet. Send me a text. Send me this. Do that. Blah, blah, blah. Interaction stuff. Except that clearly it's voice tracked. So there's not going to be any interaction at all because, somebody's tweeting you or texting or doing whatever. They're sending it off to nothing. This person's not even there. Okay, so that's number one. But even if it is live, hold that thought for a second and let's go back to the movies or any live event for that matter. If you're looking at movies or a sports thing or NASCAR or a play on Broadway or pretty much anything that's live, to really get a hold of the entire experience and live it and revel in it and enjoy it, there's no interaction with the audience at that moment while it's going on. Going to movies, there is millions of things on the internet about movies. They dissect them 8 ways to Sunday. You want facts, enormous amount of stuff on the net. But when you go into the movie theater, which happened to us, you watch the trailers, you watch the commercial, hey, go get some popcorn. And the last thing you see, the last thing before the movie starts is turn off your phone, no net here. We do not want anything interfering with the experience of watching this movie. Same thing. Tom Brady's, in a huddle. I don't think, texts are going off or he's checking his email to see what kind of play he's supposed to be doing. It's not going to happen. NASCAR driver on the track. Yeah, the same thing. He's not getting anything from those 100,000 people in the stands at Daytona. They're watching, they're in it, but they have nothing to do with him when he's doing it. He's in the experience and building it, and he is concentrating 1,000%. And one of the other things that sort of came up in the midst of this, because I really believe this, you may not, and hopefully it's not, I believe it because, I was in radio back when you had to do this, but I just think it's a thing. I really do. Before there was automation and before everything was digital and all that stuff, you had to do everything by hand. You had to go grab the carts with the music. You had to go grab the carts with the spots. You had to, grab the carts with the jingles, queue up records and all that sort of stuff. And keep track of the log. And, when a song ended, you had to be right there to, to hit the next element, whatever that was going to be. So if you're doing a 3 or 4 hour show, you are 100% into it. Otherwise, there's dead air. You cannot afford to even blink away. You can't be distracted by anything. Yeah, you could take a phone call, for a contest, or maybe somebody's calling for a request, but you're going to move it along pretty fast and you're going to hang up. One way or the other, you are 100% into your show and you are sweating bullets until the end of your show and you finally get off there, because it was huge amount of tedious work. Now, where you don't have to worry about dead air because, the automation is just going to take it and just keep hitting things, and you're doing other stuff while the show is going on. Are you really thinking about your show? Are you really thinking about what are you going to say next? What are you going to do next? What are you going to say, and what did you just do the last 2 or 3 or 4 breaks? Do you even remember? Are you basically saying the same thing with the same cadence, the same amount of words over and over and over again, because you're not concentrating on what went before and what you're going to do next? To go back, if you're voice tracking, what are you doing a lot of internet stuff that in theory is interactive live at the moment when you're not live? Why are you doing it? One of the offshoots that I got out of it as we were driving and listening to these stations doing this was that 100% is just white noise. You're just wasting valuable talk time that you could be doing something that's really interesting or entertaining or informative or funny or whatever. It's worthless. It's totally worthless. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying, and I want to make this really clear. Is there a part when you're doing a radio show that you should have net stuff? For sure there is, of course. I just don't think it's a lot. A while back I was doing a lesson and I had to listen to 3 iHeart radio stations, and I was comparing them. That's one of the lessons, and they happened to be doing a nationwide contest. And when that was going on, they all basically pushed the audience to their websites during their shows to find out more about the contest and how it actually played and what you had to do and all of that sort of stuff. That made total sense. Of course you're going to do that. That's logical. It's a great way of using the net. Interesting about that too, of those 3 radio stations, and I listened a lot and I listened really carefully to them, and this is not a slag on any of them, but only one of the 3 actually gave me an idea clearly of what actually was going on with the contest as I'm listening. Because, 2 of them I'm going, I got to go to the net because I have no clue what they're doing. They're not explaining even a little bit about the contest. They tell me what I can win. There's nothing more to it than that. Go to the website to find out more. Like, really? I mean, not a good way to kind of ramp me up to be excited to even go to the website, as opposed to another radio station. One of them was telling me what you could win, how to actually play in pretty decent detail, enough that I got it. I understood. Okay, they're doing that. Now, maybe even for a regular listener, that might have been over their head. Me, a radio guy, at least I understood, but the first 2, no clue. So, there's that. But pushing all of that aside, it made sense, in that instance, to push somebody to their website. And there's other reasons. I mean, if you're definitely live and you want to be taking requests, or certainly if you're doing a morning show and you want feedback from the audience because you're doing some sort of funny subject or something, or what do you think, and you're taking calls and you're taking texts and things like that, of course that makes sense. But for the most part, they like me on Facebook, hey, check out my Facebook page, this and that, those type of things. I mean, all I'm trying to say here is, if you're going to do stuff that concerns the net during a radio show, is it really worthwhile? Are people going to get anything out of it? Or is it just white noise? So there you go, something to think about when you're doing a show, or if you're programming and you're having your air talent do things. You might not want to saddle them down with things that really don't matter, that have to do with the net, just because other radio stations do them. Something cool, we've passed the 850 mark, shooting for 1,000 subscribers. I think we're up to 855 as I'm cutting this right now, which is awesome. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Really shooting for that 1,000. It's meaningful for YouTube. It just helps everything grow. Again, really appreciate it. And also, hit the notification bell and the like button if you like this lesson and all that sort of stuff. Hopefully this gave you something to think about. Until the next lesson, see ya!